Hi, I'm Allard from the Chili Dog. Today I'll be demonstrating a technique known as fake grafting as I join the strap ends for the knit knot bag I'm working on. This join would also work well for something like a shoulder seam. Fake grafting can be used when you're seaming two pieces of knit fabric together, either at the cast on edge or at the bound off edges. It's best if your pieces are primarily worked in stockinette stitch and you don't mind a slight ridge on the purl side of your work. I have already seamed the short strap of my bag, and if we look up close, you can see that the columns of stitches line up very neatly, and the join blends in nice on the knit side of the stitches. On the purl side of the stitches, everything is neat, but there's a distinct ridge here and a disruption in the stitch pattern. Now, you may be wondering why this method is known as fake or mock grafting. And it's simply because we're going to do our seaming on two completely bound off edges. True grafting is accomplished by joining live stitches together and creates a ridgeless, uninterrupted stitch pattern on both the right side and the wrong sides of your work. Now, let's get started. Before we begin, if you enjoy our videos, consider joining the pack and becoming a member of thechilidog.com for ad-free access to our entire learning library, priority support, and more. Before you start joining, it's helpful to understand how to read your stitches and recognize what landmarks you're looking for in your knitting. So imagine that these are two pieces of fabric worked in stockinette stitch. Both show the very recognizable V-shape stitches that we are used to seeing on the knit side of the fabric. The V's are stacked in nice vertical columns. The colored stitches at the top row of each piece of fabric represent the bound off stitches that will be joined together. As we join, the two bound off edges are placed flush against each other. Notice how the tips of the V's of the bound off stitches point towards each other. Those V's that point towards the join are the landmarks we'll be looking for as we join the stitches together. When joining begins, the alignment of the fabric will naturally shift slightly, causing the columns of stitches to become aligned. We'll join from the right and work across to the left, pulling the yarn tail under both legs of the V that points to the join on one piece of fabric, and then under both legs of the V that points to the join on the other side of the fabric. And we'll continue alternating back and forth across, going under both legs of the V that points towards the join. Now, let's actually join our fabrics together. I threaded my yarn tail onto a wool needle, and I've also laid the two strap ends together so I can start my join. My yarn tail is coming from the back piece of fabric, so I'll start the join by looking for the first V that points towards the join on the front piece of fabric. And it's a little bit tricky to see because it's close to the edge. It's easy for me to see the second V that's pointing towards the join. So identify that and then move over to the first V. And it's right there. The yarn needle comes from right to left under both legs of that V. And then I can pull the yarn through. Now we need to look for the first V on the back piece of fabric. And this one's a little bit easier to see. The V is right there. So again, I'm going from right to left under both legs of the V on that back piece of fabric and pull the needle through. Now back to the front piece of fabric. I already went through this V. It's time to move over to the next one. There's the V that's pointing towards the join. My needle goes under both legs of that V and pull the yarn through. And then find the V on the back piece of fabric that points towards the join. The yarn needle goes under both legs of that V and pull the yarn. And you can see things here are already starting to line up. So I'll continue working across the join. Find the next V that's pointing towards the join on the front fabric. Find the next V that's pointing towards the join on the back fabric. You want to make sure that you're pulling tight enough to not have any loose, floppy threads, but you don't need to pull too tightly either. You want the join stitches to look very similar size to your actual knit stitches. And if you're new to joining, it also can be very helpful to work on a flat surface as you're joining your stitches together. After both straps are joined together, it's time to weave in those yarn tails, but that's going to be a topic for another day. If you'd like to try this technique in a pattern, head over to the shop section of thechilidog.com and look for the knit knot bag. Until we stitch again, happy knitting!